Good morning and welcome to GM Tips. I hope everybody's doing great this morning. This is GM Rick talking here, and I hope everybody's had a great week so far with whatever they're doing work-wise or gaming-wise. Today's topic, which is always an interesting topic, where should I start my party in my campaign? Should they know each other or should they not? And that's a very good question. A lot of people take the old standpoint of I'm going to start them at the tavern. And, it's a great concept because you can have some raucous fun with it. But let's face it, after one or two campaigns, your players aren't going to want to play in the tavern anymore. So where should you start them? And how should you start them? And this goes back a little bit, I think, to the topic that we talked on in background stories of the characters. I would look at, number one, where are their background stories as players? Where are they from? Where is home? So you could start them on a ship. Maybe they're coming from similar places in your world. So a ship would be an easy place for them to meet while they're traveling to another city or destination. Now, mind you, you're going to have to work in how that city or destination fits their backstory and what they're trying to accomplish. So this is where you're going to have to do some homework as a GM and really think about what would bring people together to take them to one place. It could be because somebody contracted all of them. So maybe an organization or a secret group on your world contracted them to go do some adventure. We did that in mine, where in the city of Opara and Taldor, this group of nobles who are looking to help the realm to rise again to its former glory want the party to go help a town outside of the city, but they got to go there first, meet up and get their pay and be introduced to each other. It's a nice way of starting things. Plus they get a little money up front. Never hurts. You can have something to where there's a major cataclysm going on or going to be going on in the world. Maybe it's a major holiday or event that brings everybody to a special place once a year. Whatever idea you do, look at this, and there's going to be 4 factors to it. Number 1, backstory. You've got to play on the backstories. So this is where, having that session to really get your players to create their backstory is going to make a big difference. Number 2, make it interesting to your players. Not the characters, your players. Because the players are not going to love it if they're getting railroaded into something. You have to think of something that's going to grab their interest as a player and really call out to them. So there's something unique or exotic about where they're going to. Maybe it's something to do with what they want to accomplish, or maybe it's knowledge they want to learn, or maybe it's special training they want to get. Any of that can play in, but realize that when you're setting it up that there has to be a compelling story that draws them in or compelling interest. Number 3, make it a fun place. It's got to be somewhere where the players are going to have fun exploring. Yes, it can be this little town, but maybe it's a little town with a lot of secrets. Maybe it's a spaceport that has a lot of things that haven't been discovered yet. Maybe it's a town of some heroes where they are not established as superheroes yet, but yet they want to be established so they can meet some of their iconic heroes. There's maybe that little sliver of hope they could. Maybe it's this weird gothic town that has some strange things going on cultic-wise. Or maybe it's this place in the West that is a crossroads for several cultures, like maybe the Native Americans and some other cultures that they wouldn't get to otherwise meet. As you can see, you can adapt this to any type of realm. But keep it interesting, keep it fun, keep it inviting to the players, have a good reason they're getting together. And fourthly, and most important, don't lock them into one storyline. Okay? You want them to follow your path. You want them to follow things, but don't lockstep them into it. A lot of GMs make that mistake that they think that they need to lockstep their players. They don't need to lockstep their players. What they need to do instead is they need to work their players in such a way that it is a constant allure that draws them back to the main story. And it may be little tidbits or little breadcrumbs or something just odd that just keeps compelling them to go. Really, that's going to come into your GM, and you really need to think of what would be an exotic draw, even a movie type of draw, to where you can get them pulled in and really draw them to a point to where they're going to want to come again and again. It's kind of that thing of how, and then how they meet, actual physical meeting. Let them really have a chance. And this is kind of a fifth outside thing. Let them really have a chance to talk up their backstory or role play out what they would do in that situation, even if they're at each other's throats. Only draw them back together when it makes sense. Maybe they're fighting and yelling at each other about how that your idea is stupid, or what are you thinking, this and that, and there's an explosion that happens in a building near them, and it's part of the story. So then all of a sudden the bickering turns to, what the heck was that? So let them have their drama moments with each other, and really allow them to say as much or as little. They can be the silent stranger type, or they can be the very verbose, outgoing town clown, but let them have their moments, because that's going to make that story that much more special to them. I had a player write me the other day, and I really appreciate it. And he really shared his heart with me in a session about what was going on. And I'm not going to share the details because, again, what he shared with me is confidential. But I really appreciate that. And sometimes as a GM, you're a confidant and a friend. Remember that. People sometimes feel overwhelmed, or maybe they have moments where they feel like, I just didn't make the impact I wanted to make, so I'm just really angry or down or whatever. You as a GM got to remind them that, look, they didn't screw anything up. That, you know what, part of role play is your player and your character, both their character they're playing, are going to grow into their role. At first it may feel wrong, it may feel awkward, it may feel like maybe they made the wrong choice and they want to kill off their character. Don't let them do that. Pull them back to the fact that, you know what, we're going to have some real fun with your character, and not in a bad way. And your character is going to have times when they're the epic icon of the story. And then they're going to have other times that maybe they just play a little side part. But at the end of the day, that character is going to write the story that's going to be memorable for them. So always keep that in mind, is that, you know, just like anything else, we have, even as players and GMs, we all have that vision in our mind of how we want a story to go, how we want our character to be, how it's going to all play out. And then reality hits, and none of that happens. And then you're just kind of just disillusioned at it all. And what you got to say to yourself is, look, let's sit here for a moment and take a look at this. Yeah, your character didn't have the splash or the impact you wanted him to. Yeah, you guys overrode a part of my story that I hoped you wouldn't do that way. But at the end of the day, this is great fun. And it's only going to get more fun as we go along. And it's only going to get more lively, and there's going to be moments of humor. There's going to be epic moments of let's just crush it. But either way, it's going to be a great experience. Thanks, and may you have a great, great time gaming. And just never forget, it is the love of a game that brings us all together and keeps us going. Have a great